Today we will tell the story of divine provisions for Israel during the Exodus, which is found in the book of Exodus, chapters 14 and 16. May God's word reach our hearts as a source of inspiration for our lives. As waters of the Red Sea parted before the Israelites, revealing a safe and dry path, divine wrath descended upon the Egyptian army that dared to pursue those whom God had freed. The tumult of battle echoed in the depths of the sea as the waves closed in, swallowing the Egyptian soldiers in their relentless embrace, leaving only silence and desolation in the wake of their destruction. Guided by Moses, the Israelites entered the desert, a vast and arid sea of sand that stretched as far as the eye could see. Day after day, under the scorching sun, they walked towards Sinai, where they hoped to find safety and divine guidance. But the desert was a relentless master, testing the faith and endurance of the people of Israel. For 3 long days they journeyed through the arid desert without finding water, each step increasing the despair in their thirsty hearts. Finally, on the horizon they spotted a spring, a promise of relief for their parched throats. However, hope quickly turned to disappointment when they discovered that the waters were bitter and could not be drunk. Murmurs of discontent spread among the people, echoing through the arid dunes as they questioned their luck and cried out for a solution. Faced with his people's affliction, Moses sought divine guidance, seeking God's intervention to transform the bitter waters into a source of life. And the Lord, in his infinite mercy, instructed Moses to cast a small bush into the bitter waters. With a gesture of faith, Moses obeyed the divine command, casting the bush into the turbid waters. And before the astonished eyes of the people, a miracle occurred. The waters, once bitter and unfit for consumption, became sweet and refreshing, a divine gift amidst the scorching desert. And there, in the midst of the barren desert, God made a promise to his people. If they obeyed him and followed his commandments, they would be spared from the illness that plagued the Egyptians. For he was the Lord who healed, the faithful protector of those who trusted in him. After their journey through the desert, the Israelites found temporary refuge at a blessed oasis, where 12 springs gushed forth with crystal-clear water, quenching the thirst of the weary multitude. There, under the shade of palm trees and the comforting murmur of the waters, they found rest for just over a month, rejuvenating themselves for the journey yet to come. But even in this place of divine provision, murmurs began to spread among the people, whispers of discontent that echoed through the tents as hungry voices lamented the past. "We would have been better off dead in Egypt," some said, remembering with longing the days of slavery, when plenty was guaranteed even at the cost of freedom. Hearing the laments of his people, the Lord did not remain indifferent to their needs. In his infinite kindness, he decided to provide for them, not only with food, but also with a lesson of trust and obedience. Thus he announced to Moses his intention to send bread from heaven, a celestial manna that would fall upon the camp during the night. Moses, the Lord's spokesman, addressed the people, reminding them that their complaints were not against him or his brother Aaron, but against God himself. And despite their murmurings, the Lord had heard their cries. That night he promised them meat to satisfy their immediate hunger, and by morning manna would descend from the heavens, filling the air with the sweet aroma of divine favor. As night fell, while the sky was tinged with golden hues and the scent of adventure hung in the air, a flock of quails descended in low flight over the camp, their wings beating in a symphony of soft whistling. The Israelites, hungry and weary from the journey, watched in wonder as the birds landed, bringing with them the promise of fresh food. With skillful dexterity, the men set out to hunt, capturing the quails with improvised nets and agile sticks, while the women kindled fires and prepared the utensils for the feast that was to come. The flames crackled under the starlight, illuminating the hungry faces that now gathered around the comforting warmth, eager for the taste of divine provision. The next morning, as the dew danced on the grass like glistening diamonds, the Israelites awoke to find an even greater miracle before them. The ground was covered in a thin layer of dew, as if the very earth was adorned for a celestial celebration. As the sun rose on the horizon, the dew began to evaporate, revealing an extraordinary sight. Small, shiny grains like crystal pearls scattered on the ground like newly discovered treasures. Curious and hungry, the Israelites approached, their eyes shining with astonishment and gratitude. They leaned in to touch the mysterious substance, and upon tasting it, found a heavenly flavor that melted in the mouth like pure honey. It was the manna from heaven, a divine gift sent to sustain his people on their journey through the arid desert. Moses, the wise and compassionate leader, instructed the people about the heavenly gift that had been granted to them. He guided them to gather the manna during the 6 days of the week, but with one condition: that on the 6th day they gather enough for 2 days, so that on the 7th day, the sacred Sabbath, they could rest in peace, without the worry of hunger. It was a tangible reminder of the Lord's kindness and continuous provision, a living testimony of his eternal love for his chosen people. In the days that followed, some of the Israelites, thirsty for security and abundance, disobeyed divine instructions. In their greed, they sought to accumulate more than necessary for the day, fearing the scarcity that might come. But at dawn, what was once the celestial manna, fresh and pure, was now corrupted. A foul odor hung in the air, and the bread from heaven was infested with repulsive worms, a visible manifestation of divine wrath in the face of the people's disobedience. However, on the morning following the 6th day, when the first rays of the sun touched the desert earth, the manna remained untouched by corruption. It was as if the very earth, in anticipation of the approaching sacred day, bowed in reverence to the Creator. The people, amazed by the miracle, gathered the manna with renewed reverence, aware of the extraordinary blessing that had been bestowed upon them. As the 7th day, the day of rest, approached, the Israelites eagerly awaited the arrival of the celestial manna, the divine gift that would sustain them during the sacred interval. But to their surprise and disappointment, when they went out to gather the manna on the morning of the Sabbath, they found only emptiness. The desert stretched out before them, silent and unchanging, while the divine lesson echoed in their hearts. Trusting in the Lord's provision and obeying his instructions would bring countless blessings, but disobedience would result only in emptiness and disappointment. Thus, the people called the food sent by God manna, an expression of perplexity and admiration in the face of the mystery of divine provision. Throughout the 40 years of journeying through the desert, the manna continued to be the celestial food that sustained the people of Israel, a constant reminder of the Lord's faithfulness and care, even in the most arid and challenging times. This is the 9th part of a series of 13, where we will tell the biblical story of Moses and the Exodus. Continue with us so you don't miss the next chapters of this important story for all of us. If you are not yet subscribed to our channel, click on the subscription button and become part of our community. Don't forget to also comment, leave a like, and click on the notification bell. Your presence and participation here are very important to us. And if you missed the previous episodes, we have a complete playlist with all the videos in chronological order. Today I want to leave a verse that is found in the book of Exodus, chapter 16, verse 35. The Israelites ate manna for 40 years until they reached a habitable land. They ate manna until they reached the borders of Canaan. May the presence of God be a constant in your life, bringing blessings, joy, and love. God bless you.